Full, I will say I absolutely 100% believe in and love and fully accept trauma. In fact, I don't even label it as trauma because I think that's a severely sissy move, right? I think that's a...
So shall I refer to you as your government name or Mr. Boom as in a hat?
Mr. Boom, Mr. Boom, Mr. Boom.
All right, perfect. How has the day been?
It's been amazing so far. I was up all night working on a top secret project. And then got up for this wonderful show with you today. So it's been absolutely amazing so far. I'm fueled up with a lot of passion at the moment.
I remember when I was abroad, I really wanted to do this a long time ago. Then I told you what the issue was. I was living under what you could say 3G net. Is it 3G coverage?
Hostile
But it wasn't.
internet.
Yeah, exactly. So when I went inside the maps on the on the phone providers website to see where the 3G coverage was or 5G, so that I could go there or in a coffee shop or something like that. And that was like in the city, 1 hour away. I was like, no, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna travel that far. It's too hot already.
Where was this again?
So this is Bali.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I need to go
yeah. So this is Bali. We had internet at pretty much every location, but the coverage for streaming this on this app wasn't that perfect. So that is why I say let's push it up further until I get back and then do it. So we're here now
England.
And yeah, to this cold England. Okay. So yes, I know you. We first met at the gym. Right?
Well, great men meet.
Yeah, exactly. So then I don't know what actually, I think I was working at the time, and then that's how I got to speak with you, because as a personal trainer, and then you having that kind of body and already fit, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just like, you know what, this guy is already built. I'm not going to benefit anything financially from him, so I might as well just ask, what's up, bro, what's your name? Right.
The first rule of money, look for a problem. That's exactly what you were like. This guy's not my problem. I think you stood out to me because your training technique was also different. You were kind of in the middle between build and muscle, but at the same time functional patterns. So the way you would deadlift and stuff like that, and you could still go up to about 200 kg in deadlifts and stuff like that. So you stood out in the gym, just so you know. So great job.
I'm actually going to say this. The reason why I wanted you on this podcast is after this story. You remember when we met at the park? Randomly, I was riding my bike to the supermarket, and then I saw you, and then we started talking. Then you had a lot of things to say. I had a lot of things to say. From that moment, I didn't know what to do really until I saw your story on Instagram, and I said, I want to actually start a podcast and talk to this guy over here. I want to know more about him. And not only I do want to know more about him, but I think your story was very inspiring. Some of the bits that you have in your story, I can relate to those. And also, I would love for people to hear what you have to say on people know more about you and a bunch of other things. So, so there are a few things that I did pick up from your story, and this is starting with your background, where you were born, and then all the way to here that you are now and what you're doing, and other questions like, oh, what is your 5-year plan? Something like that. So for those who do not know who Mr. Boom is, can you take us back to, the past?
Brilliant. So Mr. Boom, that's my social media public persona name, but my actual real government name is Adewale. And like you've mentioned, it goes back. It goes back, and it's quite a traumatic past or upbringing, but I'll cut to it. So basically, I was born in Nigeria, right? I was born in Nigeria to my dad, who was a ex-military man, right? Typical alpha male, just badass guy, literally, right? And then also to my mum, who was a mixed race or is a mixed race woman, and her origin goes back to her granddad, which was a Hungarian Jew. So he was a really, really good, top-notch medical doctor in Hungary. We're talking about the what? Talking about the late 1800s into the early 1900s, right? And he had a good amount of money, he had children, living his life, everything going well. Until Hitler decided to basically throw shit and make it hit the wall. So what happened was my entire family from that side was killed. Everyone apart from my grandfather, right? So now my mother's father. So the story goes he was, I think, in school, boarding school or something, away doing his stuff. And when the war hit, his entire family was killed. He has stories whereby he actually escaped bombings, he'll be in a building, and then he had this intuition to go out or go somewhere. A few minutes later, that building is bombed. So he eventually left Hungary, right? Was homeless for a while, made his way down to England. I'm going through quite fast here, the story.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, yeah.
Made his way down to England, and then years later came down to Nigeria because they needed engineers to build up the country. I think was this in the 1960s or thereabout or something like that. And then when he came down, he was introduced to the beauty of the wonderful black woman. And my mum popped out some time later. But unfortunately, he left the country when she was 2, basically abandoning her. And she had to grow up dirt poor. I mean, at one point, she literally went to school barefooted, but she was incredibly smart. And she knew that education, right, the power of the mind, was the way out. So she stuck to that rather than being, typical pretty young lady stands out. She's mixed race. Everyone else in the whole country, a majority, are black. She literally stands out like a sore thumb. So she had a lot of male a lot of male interest, let me put it that way. But she said, no, basically the criteria was quite simple. If you want to roll with me, if you want me to be your woman, you've got to put me through school. Right? We're talking about her late teens here. Then, to cut the story again short, my father rocks up on the scene. He's like, hey, what do you want to do with your life? She goes, I've been looking for someone who wants to basically send me to school. I want to go to school. And he was all about education, right? So he sends her to school. They live their life happily ever after, and I pop out. Now, just quickly, on my dad's side, he grew up a troublesome youth, right? He's in his 70s now, but he was a typical, those bad kids in school who always start in fights and stuff like that?
The stubborn ones.
Extremely stubborn. That was my dad, right? That was
Yeah.
my dad. So he eventually, at the age of 17, between 17 and 19, joined the Nigerian army. Between 19 to 21, literally fought in the brutal Nigerian civil war. He was very successful. He escaped coups, he was captured, he was beaten, escaped bombings, his friends were killed, dodged bullets, literally like the Matrix, yeah. And he came out of that unscathed and eventually made his way to Romania because he also knew education was the way out for him. So he went to Romania, started mechanical engineering, came back to the country, established his business as an engineer, met my mom, and the rest is history. Then they had me. Do you want me to carry on, or have you got any questions before I talk about
So
myself?
yeah, so the question, it's a very interesting story. I can see that you have really gone through a lot, and when I say that, some of the stories that you have, I can relate to, but the beginning of your granddad and your father being in the military and everything else your part of the family has done, I cannot relate because none of my parents have been through things like that. So I want to know from you, because I know things like that, past traumatic events do affect, they either make you strong or weak. In my view, I find you to be quite a strong person, and I can feel where that is coming from. So what I want to know is, how do you feel that or everything in the past has reshaped you to the person you are today. So can you tell me what sort of things that have inspired you, the stories of your father, the story of your grandfather and mom and mother? Can you tell me how that has changed the person who you are?
Will say I absolutely 100% believe in and love and fully accept trauma. In fact, I don't even label it as trauma because I think that's a severely sissy move, right? I think that's a cop out. I think everything in life has got yin yang, polarity, up, down, right, left, right. And I think just like a coin, we can choose to look at it at the bottom or the top. I just choose to look at it at the top always. So my mind is severely and highly conditioned to the positive. I don't care if you called me right now and said someone's dead or dying. Fine, I would be a bit sad, but I would literally flip instantly, start to look at the positive. Oh, there's something good coming out of this. What can I learn? Now, on that, the key or the secret is the stories we tell our damn mind, the stories we tell ourselves. It's one thing for people to tell us stories, but it's another thing for us to tell our stories to ourselves. So, growing up, here I am looking at my strong ex military background father who rolled with presidents and the rulers of the country and all that, right? And I'm just hearing all these good things. And I'm still seeing the negatives, right? Because he's also been affected severely by trauma. He, to a huge extent, he looks down on people. He shouts at people, right? If you're not rich or if you're not powerful, he basically puts his stamp of authority and just literally just suppresses you. And I think that's a coping mechanism for him to move forward in life, right? On the other side, I see my mum, this beautiful, really educated, intellectual, and intelligent woman who's highly intuitive and spiritual at the same time and has been able to charge her life positively regardless of all the shit. I can also see how her upbringing with poverty and all that has affected her and how she sometimes sacrificed her dreams in order to accommodate other people to be caring and loving, right? So here I am. I see these two contrasting sides, if you want to say. I see the positive and negative in both. And I just do choose to tell myself the positive stories. I choose to say, hey, I'm the son of survivors. I'm the son of go getters. I'm the son of people who move forward in life and in history, regardless of the shit thrown through to them. So I remember those stories and I tell myself, and I remember literally growing up, my mum would sit us down and tell us stories. She would tell us, hey, when I was less than 10, I and my siblings, not myself and my mum now, they sometimes had only one toothbrush to use in the house, as an example, right? So, stuff like that. She would say, hey, I would have to be home, and literally the roof would be leaking with water coming through. There would be rats and lizards going through the floor. And sometimes I would have to go to the market and ask for food on credit in order to survive. Right. So I took all those stories in, and rather than beating myself down and saying, good enough, I just said, you know what? I'm taking the faith of my mother. I'm taking the drive and charisma of my father, and I'm charging my life forward, and I don't care the obstacles in my way. And believe me, like we're going to get to, several obstacles came and have come on my way, but I just don't look at them. So basically what I'm trying to say is I believe that the stories people tell us are important, but more importantly are the stories we tell ourselves. And we should always realize that there's always a positive and a negative in every single situation. And if we choose to harness and look at the side of the positive, we greatly harness that power, and that really propels us forward to have a positive life and impact.
I have come to tell my story, and I have people have asked me, how have you not gone mad based on whatever you have said? Some other people would do that. So now I'm not going to tell my story now. So we're going to continue with
I'm
yours.
intrigued
Yeah.
now. Let's forget about me, but no, carry on.
Now, let me ask you, based on everything that you have gone through, some very good, some bad, like I said earlier, they could make you or break you. Then there are other people who have gone through maybe the same, not exactly the same, because no one can go through the same thing as the other person unless they are twins, I would say, whatever, right? So, how would you say that you have managed to overcome those obstacles compared to others? What do you see in others? What do you see them missing?
This basically goes into the realm of the mind, right? And let's go into that. What do I see people missing? How have I been able to overcome? What is it? So, there are two aspects. One, the formation of the mind, and two, the continuous development of the mind, right? So, psychologically, when a child is born, their mind is blank. Let's just look at it that way. Let's forget inherent genetic traits and qualities. Let's just look at the mind. Empty, blank sheet of paper. They're basically a brand new hard drive in a computer, right? Clean Mac. Between the ages of 0 to 7, the brain of that child, right, is in a lower frequency. It's in the, I think it goes up to maximum the alpha wave frequency or whatever. So theta, alpha, basically the low state frequency. This is the state of imagination. It's the state of the subconscious. It's the state where the mind is just open and absorbs everything. That's why for centuries, the Jesuits, right? I don't know if you know them, you probably do. They had a saying, give me the child until 7, and I will give you the man. Even Solomon said, right, train a child in the way he should grow, and when he is old, and I'm using he here, but both he and she, when that child is older, they will not depart from it, right? If you have a plant or a tree and it's growing, it's easy to bend, but once it stays there and it grows, the stems, the roots, everything forms, and then it can't. It's permanent, basically. And we'll get to that. But the formation of the mind, the subconscious, is important. Why? Because it is in the subconscious, it is said that 95% of our operations, of how we act, what we believe in, what we think, all stem from the subconscious mind. Today, that means me and you right now, only 5% of our actual mind is governing our behaviors on this podcast, the way what we're thinking about. Now, that 95 to a huge extent is formed or formulated between the ages of 0 to 7. That's one. So, let me focus on one before I go to two. For me, between the ages of 0 to 7, I was fed organic beef. And I don't mean organic beef by the actual meat. No, to hell with that. I mean organic beef. The body needs food, the mind needs food. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? I'm seeing my father be an entrepreneur, doing his thing, obviously having shit in the background. But all I'm seeing every day is you have a business. You go forward. Parents make money, parents lose money, parents take on debt, you overcome. I'm seeing every day my mum being driven by a driver, going to the office, going to places talking about government contracts, people saying, yes, ma'am, to her. And that's just formulating to me, you rule, you lead. Not rule or lead in a negative way, but in a loving way. You basically are a creator, right? You overcome. And I think today that's one of the major things that's lacking in society. We have a situation, especially coming to England, I can see this, where it's all over the world actually. A small amount of people rule and the majority are conditioned as modern day slaves. And I just don't mean slaves in terms of financial or economic roads. I mean mental slaves. I mean, people are literally subservient and giving their lives over fully in terms of their bodies to the government, to what other people say, to what religious institutions say. To hell with all of that. We should be in a situation where if people are raised between the ages of 0 to 7 to say, hey, you're in control of your life, Johnny. You're in control of your life, Betty. You are in damn control of your life, and you think for yourself. I think that's what's lacking today, and I think that's what helped me. The second part, and I won't dwell too long on this, once that's formulated, you need to carry on. I'll give you an example. See this glass of water. If I put a bit of sand or dirt, or paint or beetroot juice, it's going to come out, let's say Coca-Cola, it's going to be brown, right? But if I keep on pouring water into it, sooner or later, all the brand will go out. I don't consume stupid information, maybe in tiny bits. By that, what I mean is, ever since I was in my teenage years, about 14, I started reading books such as The Power of Positive Thinking by Earl Nightingale. Was it Earl Nightingale? I think it's Earl Nightingale or another guy, not Earl Nightingale, another guy. But The Power of Positive Thinking, right? I started reading different and various books all about the mind, all about spirit. My favorite book in the Bible is Solomon, right? Proverbs, where it's talking about how to be wise, how to be intelligent, how to be smart, right? And even till today, on a day to day basis, I spend hours every single day on YouTube listening to podcasts, listening to stuff around business, around spirituality, around money, and around health. So basically, I spend the bulk of my time crowding, feeding my mind great organic beef, which goes in and rewires my neural circuits, right, to make sure that I see myself as positive, I can move forward in the face of adversity, and I can create and accomplish, and at the same time make sure that I'm manifesting in a high vibrational frequency linked directly to my spirit, and always having the autonomy and the perspective of what do I think compared to the masses. So those are the two things. One, the programming, and two, the continuous drip feeding.
You know the saying, you are what you eat.
So you call me a cow?
No, no, I was going to say that you are what you are based on the type of information you decide to consume. Say you are a book reader, right? Reading books obviously makes you smarter, right? Listening to news, for example, let's say, depending on the outlet, you have the very biased news outlets, and then you have one that's not biased. So depending on if you are someone who wants to think deeper and not just make the judgment based on whatever the person on the other side is saying, that's going to make you a lot smarter, right? So then also, you are also the type of person you are based on the people that you hang around with, your network, right? So basically, what I want to say is that a lot of us in the society, we have options, right? So we have the easier way out, which is, I'm not interested in learning. I'm going to keep my mind closed. I'm going to keep my mind narrow. And then you have the other part of the society who is very open-minded, very always curious, like, looking forward and very eager to learn new things. Doesn't matter how hard it is, that person's going to try anyway. I wanted also to, so obviously, wait, you were not born here, right? You were born in
I was
Nigeria.
born in Nigeria. Amazing.
Born in Nigeria, and you moved here at the age of
I moved at the age of 17 for my studies.
17. Okay, so, and moving here at the age of 17, how did the cultural change compared to Nigeria change the person you are? Or
It definitely did change the person that I was, right? It hugely influenced me because it gave me the ability to see different cultures, right? It gave me the ability to see how people act, react, think. It gave me the ability to also see that the present situation in any culture, for instance, the let's take the advancement in energy and transportation systems, although people still say shit of Britain compared to Nigeria, right? It gave me the ability to see that the present of any nation, any civilization, any people is based on the thought patterns they have had leading up to that time. Right. But it also gave me the ability to see that the adverse external situations and limitations determined thinking. Give you a very good example. In England, if the power grid goes off, pretty much half the population will probably die within a few months from winter. Right. So, because of that, the average Brit, right, has got to be very, very logical. They've got to be almost computerized in terms of their actions. Hey, we need power. Hey, we need to be efficient. Hey, we need technological advancements. Hey, we need innovation, right? Hey, we need systems and operations. I worked in bank and works and management consultant for years. I got to see this in and out, right? The Brits run and thrive and are absolutely amazing when it comes to systematizing things, operationalizing things, and literally going by the book. That is predicated, as far as I'm concerned, on the need to survive based on the external adverse situations that nature has placed on them. Winter, right? Maybe not having the best soil, not having access to variety of fruits and all that. So they need to think a certain way to be efficient. On the other side of the continent in Nigeria, we've got the sun. We've got food. What? The power's out. Oh, forget it. We'll just go outside. It's warm anyway, even, you know. So there's a variety of food. There's abundance of food. Why do you need to go stress yourself? Just go outside, pluck some mangoes. You're good, my bro. You can relate to this. So I got to see the pros and cons and how whatever situation we're in, the external factors impede or work, and then our thought patterns take us to where we're at. So I got to see that. I got to see the advancements of culture, and I got the ability to think differently from one sect. So I got the ability to go, I'm not just going to think like a Nigerian, right? You guys on this side view those people like that. But when I go there, they've got the exact same bloody problems as you. But only because you've got this perspective, right? You're looking from the bottom and you're going, oh, it's because they're closer to the sun. And then they are looking from the top and then they're going, oh, it's because you're farther away from the sun. So you've got cool air and you're happy. It's like, so I just got the ability to go, hang on. Now I'm done with all the bullshit politics. I'm done with all the bullshit religion. I'm done with all the bullshit that human beings try and justify. It doesn't matter.
Now, fitness, yeah. So when I say fitness, I'm not really I'm not really referring to you being in a gym, because you have a story about your fitness from a very young
Yeah,
age.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can you tell me more
Yeah,
about that?
so I was a sick kid. You know, born with three other siblings, all of them robust, healthy, great. Um, I'm a sickle cell carrier, or I was a sickle cell carrier, let's put it that way, carrying the sickle cell thalassemia gene or blood, whatever. It doesn't affect me in terms of health. I'm great, I'm healthy, all that. But also in combination with that, I was the kid who I was allergic for some reason. My immune system highly, highly, highly allergic, right, to food, especially milk, dairy. And growing up as a kid, my favorite drink was milk, literally cow's milk. I love that thing, right? But my parents didn't know. So at some point, I was rushed to the hospital constantly every few months or weeks. And I would always get sick. And at one point, the doctors thought I had tuberculosis, right? Only for me to get to my teens, I must have been about 13. My mum's doing some research. And then she discovers people are allergic to milk. She takes out milk from my diet. Boom! I'm healthy, I'm good. She puts it back. Boom! I'm coughing, I'm sneezing, I'm having to go back to the hospital, stuff like that. So very early on, I was a skinny, sickly kind of kid, but I had a lot of spirit and drive. It got so bad at one point, even my teacher in school didn't was wanting me to be careful playing in the playground with other kids because my ribs will literally show I was that skinny. But I loved it. I love being skinny. So that put me on a trajectory, my friend, for health because I could see from a very early age that, again, the external factors or circumstances of life determine or really shape, not determine, shape our internal state in our life. If I have milk, I'm sick. Okay. So then put me on a course of what else can I have to make me better? Supplements, exercising, staying away from alcohol, staying away from this. That opened my world till today. I spend hours. almost weekly, right? Looking at health, everything from the way our biology is wired to our brain to the gut health, gut brain microbiome to arthritis to everything. But basically, for some reason as a kid, that entire thing put my body in a very sensitive state. So I rolled into my 20s, avoided milk, but I was always experimenting with veganism, carnivore, paleo, this, that, used my body as a guinea pig, which I shouldn't have. In my 20s, I got hit with arthritis, which is basically massive inflammation, right? It got so bad at one point when I was working as a management consultant, I could barely take a step without pain. Literally, I would sleep at night and I couldn't to move my legs, literally my thigh, just like that, was pain. I would get up from the desk and to stand up, I would have to take a few seconds. And when I would do that with my legs, you would hear prop, prop, the sockets popping. And I would, like an old man, have to walk carefully. My hair was falling out then. My skin was bad. I started having memory loss, right? You would tell me your name within 30 seconds, I would forget it to new people. So I was always cold. Life wasn't just going well. Only for me to realize it was a huge amount of inflammation based in my body reacting to vegetables. I'm talking if I eat spinach, boom, autoimmune disease, right? Nuts and seeds, boom, autoimmune disease. Bread, boom, depression. All from the gut. Also, as a kid, I was pumped with a lot of antibiotics when I was sick. Bingo, that might be the cause. But again, my friend, because of my faith in the Creator growing up, because of the way I had wired my brain, because I always believed that no matter what, there is a way. I never gave in to the dark days. I never gave into the depressed state. I never gave into the, I'm no longer handsome, or I'm no muscular, or I'm no longer healthy, or I'm getting old. I never did what stupid people do. I never said I am just getting older. Look, anyone who says that, you are stupid. I'm telling you right now, as Mr. Boom Adewale, you can come for me, I don't give a damn. You are stupid if you say just based on age, your age and your body deteriorates. Fine, there's a natural aging process, but it is the food you're eating, it's the chemicals you're living in, it's the emotional state you're having, and if you're not willing to change that, you will die in your stupidity, and that's how nature operates, period. Passion rant over. Let's go back.
100%. No, 100%. Actually, my next question was going to be how, because you have already answered it, and just to confirm if you have. So if that has contributed to your resilience
100%.
today.
Because I kept on going forward, I found the cure. Okay, stay away from the spinach. In my case, I'm not saying for everyone. Okay, stay away from the milk. Okay, change the foods you eat. Okay, you're lacking some calcium, you're lacking some vitamin D. Get the supplements. Okay, do that. And I saw the difference. The hair started growing back. The knees are fine. I can squat again. The body's fine. I gained more muscle. So I realized, problem, there is a solution. And I use that same logic in my relationships, in my business, in my life, and especially in business. I don't give a damn what I'm going through. There is a solution. If other people choose to ignore that solution, they die. Not me. I'm going boom.
I wanted to ask if there is anything that you would like to leave to the audience, the viewer, or whoever is watching and listening. If there is anything that you would like to share, if there is any advice that you like to give,
Yeah,
are there any, and what would
there is, and there's
that
just
be?
one. I want you to know that you and the Creator, God, right? You are one. You literally are one. And because of that, you have all it takes within your spirit to propel and move your life forward. What this means is very simple. Stop, damn it, comparing yourself to anyone. Stop listening to people. Don't even listen to me. Take it all freaking in. But you need to connect back to yourself. Why are you inclined to do the things you're doing? What drives you? What fuels you? What motivates you? What's your freaking passion? And go with it. And every single person who tells you you can't, forget that. It's not about becoming a billionaire. It's not about becoming the hottest person. It's not about becoming the next basketballer. It's about understanding who you are. And once you figure that out, that's the source of your happiness. They're freaking billionaires. I've said this before. There are billionaires on the streets of London who can't get their dick up. There might be 70-something-year-old shriveled men who literally have all this money, but they can't have a partner. They might be unmarried. They might be doing drugs or whatever. That's not the life we want. They're still billionaires who literally are healthy and living great lives. Fine for them. They're fishermen, right? Fishermen on the beaches of Zanzibar who are happier than you and I, all these people combined, and they have nothing. What am I trying to say? When you realize that you and the infinite creator are one, and you tap into that energy, you will go with what gives you happiness. You will go with your passion. You will understand your mission, your purpose, your calling, and what differentiates you. And you will live your life, whether you live for 32, 50, a gazillion years, you will live your life happily. And the very last thing with that, if you and the infinite creator are one, everything you came and you've been born to accomplish, it doesn't matter who says yes or no, you will create it. That's worked for me. That's the secret of success and failure. And that is your success key. Boom.
Nice talking to you, Mr. Boom. I'm very glad that I had it on this show, and I can't wait to hear more from you next time. And I also can't wait for you to keep being a guest on this podcast every day in the future. You do have a lot to share. You do really have a lot to share, and I think it will be great having you again, and let's hope for the best and wish you all the best in the future. Thank you again for joining. I'm your host, Eddie John, and thank you, Mr. Boom, for joining.